Good morning. It's more or less 10 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, and this is Relaxing Painting with Dyson Dungeons, coming to you once again from our Not Studio workshop. And so what's on Wednesdays? You guessed it right. It's Submarine Wednesday. And although I have some minifigs to paint, I started a wyvern on Monday. Got a little bit, didn't get very much of it done, and it is not working as well as I was hoping, which is typical for Relaxing Painting with Dyson Dungeons, is that things just kind of go along, and sometimes they work okay, and sometimes they don't. Anyway, that's what I was doing on Monday, and I will be getting back to the wyvern on Friday. But today's Wednesday, and I'm continuing to abuse Relaxing Painting with Dyson Dungeons by working on the 1960s vintage Renoir cutaway submarine model. And this is, I'll just keep repeating. It's good to repeat things because you never know. There might be new people joining in, and people my age might be watching and they can't remember what happened last week, that kind of thing. What did happen I remember I was working on the submarine last week, but there was a lot of stuff in between. Anyway, so I'm continuing to work on the mess and bunk decks, which are two of the most complicated pieces of this submarine. One of the two, I should say. This one has, as you can see, a lot of parts, many of them small. The painting instructions are not at all what one wants, because there's a lot of detail in some of this that will actually never be seen because of the way this thing is set up. And then the next thing I'll be working on is the control deck, which is also a very complicated thing. It's a lot of little pieces, but the thing is that a lot of them are control panels, and they're supposed to be painted in a way so that the little dials and buttons and things like that show up. And that's for another day. What I have to worry about right now is working on this and getting this done. So I'm going to unveil underneath the dust cover here, unveil progress so far. There's a lot of alligator clips there because they're all holding pieces that were painted. This is the floor. I'll just move this so you can see the pieces. This is that thing here. I have installed the most important part of the mess, the coffee urn. I did that just, so that there's a little bit of progress apparent. I've finally gotten all 3 coats of white paint on the kitchen, the galley. Okay. There's a lot of tables. And then there's bits and pieces that need to be painted different colors. And then finally we got these minuscule little chairs. There are 11 of these, and these need to be painted too, and fairly soon because they're supposed to be some of the first things installed. What I am going to do today is get a little bit out of sequence from the instructions and cement some things into the floor just so that we can see some progress. And those things are going to be this table, which goes here behind the coffee urn, and these tables, there's 5 of them that go here between the benches, and I'm going to put those in because getting those in doesn't get in the way of anything else, even though it's a little bit out of sequence. But it will give the appearance of having accomplished something. So we'll try that. This table goes here. I think. Yeah, it's a little round table. And then there's this infinitesimally small square table that goes here. Yeah, there. I'm going to need these alligator clips. And then this table with 8 chairs around it goes here. These are not going to be cemented in because the chairs need to go in before the tables. Okay, But what I will do is I will make sure that they fit, because I want to make sure that they fit before I put the chairs in, because once the chairs are in, I don't want to be knocking them out. So I'll be fitting these pieces to make sure that they go into the little holes when it comes time to cement them in. We're going to put these extra alligator clips up here for a moment. I'm going to need 11 of them. So what I'm going to be working on, I'll be doing some fitting a little bit later, but now I need to do some additional painting. See this light blue color? This light blue color is the color of the walls of crew quarters, which include the bunk room and the mess hall. And these particular pieces go like this, okay, on the bunk room. This side is a gyro room, and so this has to be painted green, light green, which is the color of kind of like the mechanism sections. All right, so I'll be painting this light green, and this one, which goes here. The other side of it is like a ballast room, and that just gets painted the dark gray color, which is the hull color. Right, and then underneath, the little bits underneath get painted dark gray, because those are the colors of the little bit that's underneath the bunk deck. These parts, as you can see, there's a little bit of white on here. This one goes here, like this. And there's two parts to it. One is in the storeroom, which is painted white, okay? And the wall that goes up against it are these open doors. So what I want to be sure is that the part that's inside the doors is white, and the part that's outside the doors is that light blue color. These doors are also two colors. The white is the inside of the storeroom, that's the inside door. They need another coat of white, it looks like. The rest of it's painted light blue. So I will do the light blue painting, and then if I need to, I'll touch those doors up. So I'm going to be painting a fair amount of light blue, and some of it's straightforward and easy, like these doors. All light blue. These go over here. Okay, way over here on this side. Yeah, up against the kitchen, or the galley. Okay. Here, and then the galley part this one goes here, right? So technically the inside of this should be painted white, but you're never going to see that, so I'm not going to do that. But this thing needs to be painted light blue, except perhaps for this edge. That edge is it's sort of technically part of the galley, but I'll probably, let me see, this other one too goes here. Is the edges I'll paint light blue. You can begin to see how this goes together here. So the storerooms are back here, and the galley is here. And these parts go up against these pieces. Okay, kind of enclosing them. Oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad I'm kind of fitting these, because as you can see, a tiny bit, this isn't supposed to show. This edge isn't supposed to show, but it does. So I need to paint that white. It's all part of the touch-up stuff, right? This one's a little complicated. This is light blue. It's got a blackboard on it because it's like a conference area. So I'll be painting around that edge. And this side is quite complicated because it's got lockers and bookshelves. And so I'll be painting all of this light blue. But then I'm going to be coming back and painting the shelves and all the little bookends. That should be fun. And that'll have to be done before this wall is installed. So I'm just looking at these. See, this piece here, this edge here is nicely covered by the doors in front of it. But the way this fits together, just to show you again, is that yeah, this is why it's going to be fun cementing all this together. Use the dominant hand. There we go. Is that this tiny sliver, the tiny sliver of that counter shows past the wall. Yeah, great. Okay, so you can see that the light blue stuff is going to be painted. Within the galley itself and the storerooms, there's a huge amount of detail. And I'm going to be taking that on somehow. If you can see this, there's pots and pans, there's drawers, outlines, there's like a faucet, storage cabinets. On this, there's storage cabinets with little handles and outlines, shelving units, canisters. Those should all be painted, different colors. Here, there's like a giant bread box. Yeah, so I'm going to try to take those on. Within cold storage, this is kind of interesting. Within cold storage, there is hanging meat, little hams or something. With subneds, yes. I want to talk about the pronunciation of Wednesday. Okay? Look at how it's spelled. When we say it, we put the N in front of the D, and the S after the NES is silent, and it's Wednesday. Wens? The S is in the wrong place, too. It's spelled Wednesday. I mean, it obviously is Wednesday. It's not Wednesday. NDS. So when did that happen? And how and why? That's the puzzler for today, isn't it? Why do we say Wednesday when it's really Wednesday? Wednesday being Woden's Day. Another throwback to our ancient history. One of these is painted on both of its sides. And then, this one, yeah, this is a divider that goes between the cold storage and the regular storage. So here's a question. So there's these like shelving units. I think I need to highlight the shelving, the cross-hatching. I'm not quite sure what color to use. In the kitchen, I'm going to try to, on the cabinets, I'm going to try to do the edges of the cabinets and the little handles in red. Because 1960s kitchens, 50s kitchens actually were white with like little red piping on them. So that's probably not authentic submarine colors, but that's how this will look. So what I'm going to be doing at some point today is cementing in these benches just so it looks like there's some progress, and this table on here. And none of those will get in the way of anything else. Painting light blue, painting dark green, painting green. Oh yeah, I can't forget this bit. This bit is light blue here. See what happens if I use some tape on it to that pulls away a little bit of the brown. That'll be easy to touch up, but I'm trying to see if this will help me get a nice clean line there. Anyway, if I keep talking like this, as almost every time I stream, I've only used up 20 minutes. Usually I can use up a half an hour before I actually have to do any work, which is probably one of the reasons why this is moving along so slowly. What color will I paint first? I think I'm not going to start with the light blue, because that's going to, I have to be careful on some of these places. And this is green. I might do the dark gray first. That might be safe. This whole side is dark gray, and then this little bit down here, that'll have to be painted after this side dries. This little bit down here is dark gray, and this little bit here is dark gray. I can paint those. And then afterwards, later on, maybe if I'm doing some touch-up, and there probably will be some, I'll paint this bit dark gray. So I think I'll start with that color. What used to be on there. And then after I'm done with that, I'm going to fit these tables in to make sure that they fit okay. And also these tables, so they'll involve a little bit of scratching and scraping. And then I'm going to be doing the light, this sort of light blue, pleasant looking color. Yeah, I should do a flip, shouldn't I? Yeah, why don't we go ahead and do a flip? Okay. I'm going to flip the bag o' chairs. Can't tell one side from the other, can you? Well, anyway, there's a flip. Pretty cool thing about this is that I didn't drop it on the floor. I have to paint these too, I can't forget that. These are supposed to be painted green according to the instructions, but not the same color green as the bulkheads on the work areas of the submarine. So try to remember, these are like leather chairs probably, that back in the 1960s they would have made them out of leather rather than leatherette. I'm going to paint them a dark green, which is kind of the color that those kinds of chairs usually were. I need to paint the meat. I have a couple of alternatives to try to get that done. When it comes time to doing some detail, I'm going to work on those. So there's a lot of stuff to paint here. We're going to have relaxing painting, like during the entire stream, it looks like today. Then we're going to have some relaxing, what should I call it? Filing or sanding to try to fit pieces together, and some relaxing cementing, hopefully, as well. I put this up here because the parts that I'm painting, the dark gray, are the bottoms and top and front edge of this. The top, because it goes like this, the top is where the cementing happens, so I won't get too much paint on that. So I'll put this on one of these as well. I'll be painting this side of it. And I'll be able to use this brush, a fairly nice, big, soft bristled brush. No, I won't be painting the whole time. I'll be painting a lot of the time, though, including some attempts to do really fine detail, like on the hams and the sausages and the cupboards and the kitchen. The kitchen has just got beautiful detail on it, but getting it painted is going to be, I'll definitely be using the head magnifiers for that. So I'm going to kind of alternate between painting and manipulating, you know, trying to get things to fit. I'm kind of going back and forth with that. Anyway, yeah, let's do some relaxing. This is going to start out with relaxing because it's not going to be too easy to mess up. And then I want to do the detail work, like kind of mid-show, because as I start getting into the last 45 minutes or so of this 4-hour stream, even with a break, when I get into the last 45 minutes or so, let's just say that my ability to find detail is a little bit diminished at that point. This is one of those two-sided things where both sides need to be painted blue. So, you know, it's going to be... I like it when I can just take a paint out and use it and get all the things covered at once, but sometimes if things are two-sided like this, you know, where they're being painted on both sides with the same color, just really can't do that. So I'll do one side and then turn it over and do the other side a little bit later. Side first. The same thing with this, right? Do one side and then flip it over. Both of these are just one-sided things. Oh, and I need to remember that little bit of an edge. Remember this bit? Yeah, it was here where this edge showed, and it needs to be painted white. Yeah, as I'm doing the kitchen, there's a likelihood that I'll have to do some white touch-ups, so I'm going to try to remember to do this. Otherwise, I'm going to remember it when I'm starting to cement it together, and yeah, that'll be a little awkward. Okay, well, let's get this, make sure this is mixed. And we'll start doing some painting. Yeah, not bad. Oh yeah, this is the one. Right. Start with these. Okay, let's remember the magnets. Remember the magnets, they're there. There's this color underneath, another little ballast tanky kind of thing, and then a floor goes above that. This side, the floor that goes above it is painted green, the light green that's used in the mechanical areas of the submarine. And the floor goes above that. Let's see. And it goes. This side is in. So this edge is actually going to show, and so it's part of the cutaway hull. And the cutaway hull is painted the hull color. And for some reason, it's not covering very well. Okay, well, that'll do. This to have a little edge. Mark there, so there. Okay, well, there I did some painting. Pretty cool. This one goes this way, and so this is the edge. This is the edge that will show. I'm just going to go ahead and paint that first because that seems to be presenting a little bit more of a challenge than it should. There. And then this whole side gets painted this dark gray color. Okay. And then after this all dries, I need to come back to it and paint that bit there underneath like I did on these others. Okay, now it's important that I look down on this because that edge is actually going to show, and it wasn't painted dark gray. Yeah, so there we go. There was painting done. Painting was accomplished, at least at this so far a little bit, and relaxing painting. I think I'm going to get these well out of the way here. Paint out of the brush. I'm going to do some light blue painting now. There, a fair amount of that has to be done. Some of it on two sides, and so if I do this now, I can get the other sides of these two things done a little bit later. I mean, the paint will dry enough so I can turn them over. I'm going to use the alligator clip approach with these. I won't be painting the back of this because will be very much out of sight. Same with this. You won't be able to see the other side of the door. I will have to decide. I'll probably paint the door handles. Okay, something like a highlight color. I don't think I'll mess with the hinges. I'm going to just say that the hinges would have been painted the same as the door, but that the handles themselves might have a different color, and that color is going to just be black. I'm going to use a fine felt tip pen, and this side is going to be a little bit of a challenge, so I will save it for later. This side, we'll see. Oh yeah, and don't forget this. So these are the parts that need to have blue paint, light blue paint put on them. Maybe I will take one of those little minifigs. Itsy tiny little sailor-like figures that are vaguely humanoid in shape. Maybe I'll actually do one. Okay, I mean, that'd be kind of fun. Instead of having them scattered around the submarine just looking kind of doofy, I might just get one and spend some time trying to paint it so it looks sailory. Okay, yeah, and that could be me. I'll put it somewhere, you know, like maybe in the control room, right? That seems appropriate. Yes, vaguely humanoid, under 7 and under 70 and over, right? All right. I'm going to start with the blackboard side, and I declared that to be a blackboard, not knowing what it is or not, because it's in like a little conference room area. Okay, it's here, and it's not a flat screen TV because they didn't exist at that time. Otherwise, it would be about the right size for like a 56-inch or whatever flat screen TV. Okay, what I'm going to need to do here, I'm going to get out my holderator thing, is this has little random holes in it, and I'm using this because once it's painted, I'm going to just stand it up here, stand them up in these holes so that they're out of the way and not bumping into stuff. You know, brush selection is going to be important here. I'm going to start with this brush. I used with some success on Monday to paint this bit. This is a doorway on the side of these bunks. This paint sometimes covers in one coat, sometimes requires two. Let's see how this goes. And I'm painting the inside of the doorway as well, because that will show. But I don't need to paint the back, because that won't. Well, that was going okay until I just overbrushed it. There we go. Paint the top line show. All right. Yeah, I probably should just do this too. How many do I have? Got 5. I have enough little holes to work that. Okay, now I'm going to use this brush again to outline as well as I can the blackboard. Okay. And then I'm going to use a larger brush to finish it. I hope I don't need a second coat, but you know, you just don't know. There, that actually looks pretty good. Side of this is cutaway, so that has to be that dark gray color. The top is going to be this blue. Just paint that now on that. It was on too thick. I was afraid there would be brush marks, and then I pulled the paint away. And what I've learned before is it looks like there's brush marks, but as it dries, there aren't. And what I'm doing now is just taking something that was okay and turning it into not okay. So we're going to try that. And see if I can get it okay again. But the blackboard is outlined adequately, so we'll leave that. This one, I'll just use this brush on it again. It's just the fronts of the doors. And what I want is the paint to be on here, you know, fairly evenly. And then I'm going to do a little bit of highlighting on the door handles, not the hinges, just the handles. This side shows, well, they both lines show, so I'm going to paint the edges. This over here. This one. This has a hatch on it. I'm going to clean this brush. I'm going to use this other brush that I failed to clean, and now the paint's drying on it. Uh-oh, time for the uh-oh button. Just a little lapse in paying attention to what I was doing. Give this a thorough cleaning after I'm done with it. Okay, so what I want to do here is I'm going to paint around the hatch. and then use the larger brush to paint the rest of it, hopefully minimizing any brush marks. That's set in the water at the moment. There's this little cutout up here. This could be important later. It's where the stairwell goes up, and that supports the stairs, which is good. It's going to make it a lot easier than the other stairs that go up from the bunk room. Those don't have one of those little things, and they need to match a hole in this floor, so that's going to be tricky. Okay, so this needs to be painted on the other side then, and what I've got left is this doorway. I'm going to paint some. I've got this brush out. I'm going to paint some of this now. The edges of the door are going to be blue. This light blue color. So I'm going to paint the areas that I can get to with this big brush, just to get those covered. And then I'm going to pull out the brush that I didn't wash before. And then that. That includes the outsides of these doors. That's not terribly hard. Insides of these door frames are a little bit more challenging. I'll do it from the other side. You can see it a lot better that way. And then the tricky part, kind of tricky, is the edges here. Just these front edges where I want to get the light blue paint to the edge, but not really much over it. The first time I used this brush, I didn't like it at all. Its bristles are a little bit stiff, but as I've gotten used to it, finding it works pretty nicely. It didn't get all the way down. Okay. So this is not looking bad. It's drying quickly, so we'll see what it looks like when it's dried. Oh, I need to, yeah, that's good. Always rotate your work because you'll find spots that need to be painted that hadn't been. And I don't know. Yeah, we'll make sure that those are covered just in case those edges show. This paint always worries me because it looks like it blobs up, but then when it dries, it levels nicely. And I had one that I thought I'd have to sand down and like completely redo, and it turned out to look okay. So this isn't bad. The insides of the doors are white because they are part of a storeroom, and the outside is this green because it's part of the crew quarters. So we'll quit messing with that, and then come back to that color later because I need to paint maybe a second coat on some parts. And maybe there'll be touch-up spots. And then I need to do the other side of a couple of those pieces. So let's try to get this clean. Yeah, this is gonna require more industrial cleaning. That the brush holds the paint really well, I guess I should say, as the bristles do. I'm using some isopropyl alcohol instead of just the water. I'd like to be able to just lay it down in there, but I can't really do that because there's like a sediment of pigments down at the bottom of the jar, and I don't want the bristles to bend, so we'll just do this. Squeeze the paint out. What should I do next? Those are some of the more straightforward and simple bits. Seems to be decent. Well, let's cap this up. That's right in the place where I know I will bang into it, knock into it. That would not be good. Okay, yeah, this is doing the same thing. I think I might try to paint the meat. Why not? Take this little bit of tape off of here. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, the line came out nicely, so the tape worked. When I paint rooms, and that's where I'm better at painting, is large things like rooms and walls. what percentage am I at with the sub? I am approaching 15%, I think. Once I get this done, this is going to be a big leap forward. Then I'll do the control room, which will also take forever because of the detail in the parts, the prep of the parts and the detail and the fitting things together. Weird things like the periscopes from the very top of the sail need to fit down into tubes in that deck, and if they don't fit just right, they're going to bind or just not go where I want them to go. Once that's done, that's the I should show you a picture. That would be like the first third of the submarine, but probably close to half of the work involved in the submarine. Yeah, it is. It is a series of tubes. The whole submarine itself is a tube. It's pressure. The pressure hull is a tube. The torpedoes are tubes. The torpedo tubes are tubes. The tubes in which the periscopes and snorkels and things fit are tubes. Those themselves, you could call them shafts, but they're kind of like tubes. The missile launching tubes are tubes. Big parts of the engine room are pipes, which are tubes. It's a lot like the internet, right? Yeah, so I'm waiting for that paint to dry. I'm going to do this first. This is actually just kind of silly. Okay, I think the designers of this just decided that there are parts of the submarine that are going to be silly. And so they created this piece of hanging meat. I don't have any meat colored paint. Okay. It looks like there's a salami and some hams maybe. And then of course, the meat part of it that hangs out the bottom. Anyway, it's I got some colors out and I'm gonna try these. And I'm going to try them on here, and if they work, then there's, on this bit, these are molded in, which makes them even harder. There's some more. So I'm going to paint these so that they look brownish, reddish brownish, I guess, is how they're going to look. I'm going to paint the salami red-brown. I wonder if I have... No, I'm actually going to... That's too dark. Okay. And then I'm going to paint the hams. What color did I pick? This color, and then I'm going to wash them in the ink that I use for floors. And I don't know. I have no clue. They're essentially invisible, in the submarine. The ones on here, the ones that are molded in, actually are easier to see because it's right inside the doorway. These others are hanging off to the side. So, I don't know. I'm going to just put paint on them and see how they end up looking. It might be fine. It might just be awful. Well, that's not good. I want these things to be falling over. I'm going to leave them here where they're in the way, and I'm very likely to bump into them and knock them over. yeah. So, I don't know. I'm gonna put some paint on these things, and then we'll see what they look like when they're washed. And if they look okay, then I'm going to paint the ones that are molded on. But I think the designers of this model put just incredible detail on in a few places, and just kind of extremely difficult level of detail, and then in other places, just nothing. It says back of salami. I could understand, like in the galley, they did things like they put in, canisters and faucets and things. Just insane level of tiny little bits of detail. But the hanging meat is just, it's just kind of weird and funny. And what better use of time than taking the better part of 10 minutes to paint a hanging ham and have no idea how it's going to turn out, right? And if it doesn't, well, it's just painting, just paint it over again. This is definitely not ham color. You'll see that, right? But I'm hoping that with the smoky ink, that it will look different. The smoky ink. Anyway, we'll find out. We shall see how this ends up looking. .3D printers have been grinding away. It's I think what's being produced now is not so much it's a dungeon enhancement set. These are street tiles, cobblestone street tiles, like cobblestones and brick streets, and the idea is, since we have a lot of walls and we use those to show the exteriors of the buildings, the interiors of the buildings, when we have an event inside of one of them, but the walls look good on both sides. And the idea is that we can do street scenes where we use the wall tiles for the exteriors of the building, And then well, the streets, they'll be on a street, basically. As I was painting that, I noticed that the very tip of the salami didn't get painted, right? There's always something. Like this paint was too viscous or whatever, and it isn't covering very well. I'm thinking now I should have used a lighter color paint there. I think I might. I'm going to take a look at my color chart. And I was thinking like this red brown has some red in it, right? And salamis are kind of meaty and so kind of red. But great. Oh. We'll see how the meat survived its fall to the floor here. Yeah, I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to I want to paint it a different color, a lighter color. Do that before I wash it. And find it. I need to let that dry a little bit, and then I'll come back to it with this color. While I'm letting paint dry, I want that light blue to dry so I can see if I need to touch it up or not. To move this over here, and I'm going to see if I can install this little table and these other tables. I think it would be good to maybe do a little assembly today, so we'll see. Goes in there, and that fits nicely. And now you've got like a little table for the coffee service. I'm just going to leave that there. And then these guys, I forgot all about that. Yeah, some of them needed brown touch-up. Forgot all about the touching up, and it's pretty obvious where that has to happen. What isn't obvious is, let's see, yeah, it was this color that I've been using, the one that I just rejected for the salami, is the color that I need to fix these tables. See what I mean is that on the edge, that needs to be brown below the tabletop there. And this needs to be done before they are cemented into place. 5 of them. I need to check all 5. That one's good. Yep, it's good. These tables, I know, look a lot better than they did when I did these when I was in 7th grade. I have no idea how I really painted them and what the quality was. And I doubt that they came out very well. This has been Submarine Wednesday. And I'm actually getting some painting done. It's not always a feature of Submarine Wednesday is getting very much done. Let these dry, and then I'm going to make sure that they fit, and then do some cementing. And while I'm testing these for fit, I'm going to test the other 3 tables, these little bits up here, for fit, because those need to go in after the chairs are done. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to how this other paint is doing here. Let's say that looks pretty good with just 1 coat. Okay, I'm going to declare this a success. That goes here. This needs to dry a little bit, but this is also a success. The little bunk thing doing here. Yeah, so these parts are doing well. Right. These need to be painted on the other sides. This one, just a lot of little, getting around the edges of the hatch. Okay. And then right along the line there, that's the boundary between one room and the other. This one is going to require a little more care. I need to paint around the alarm and down the sides of the lockers. Been thinking about the lockers, and just like with the doors, I think the hinges on the lockers would be painted the locker color. I don't know if those are like combinations. There's little handles on them, and I'm sort of tempted to say that the hinges and the handles would just be painted the locker color. And this, I don't know what's going on up here. It looks like it's either the reflection of the light or the color that didn't work. I'm going to touch that up right now. It's weird. I didn't see it before, and I can't really tell what's going on there. want to get that when I'm watching it. Okay. Right at the top of the lockers, and it's either it didn't get painted, catching the light in a weird way. No, that took care of it. One of those things that, you know, almost everything, all these details are going to be nearly invisible. Probably the only thing that'll show, these bookcases will show because they're right up near the front. And they're in a large room, so you'll be able to see these and the lockers pretty well. I'm going to have to spend some time on the bookcase, but those are getting ready to have this covered. I'm thinking one coat's been doing pretty well, so I'm going to get the light blue out and finish these guys sooner than later. But first I need to change the color of the salami. Right, well, we'll just let that dry. Then I'll be pulling out the smoky ink wash. I'm going to do a little bit of just checking, see how things are going here. Second coat on that wouldn't hurt. Do this. These are just all these little bits need to happen. So I'm just kind of going at them as they are. This is that dark gray color, the fall color. And the big side needs a second coat. Not very much of one, just a light coat. Nice. I really should take the magnets out of there. And let me look at these. This will be okay. The way this works, this is on this side. Means this is going to go there like this. No, wrong piece. It goes here like this. Take it off and show you how this works. This is the bulkhead. This is the side that's painted green. That's going to be the gyro room, or the, yeah. So this just goes, it goes like that. And when I do this, okay, yeah, well, what I found was, look at that, see? It's a good thing I'm looking, is that this, the dark gray needs to go up here. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm really glad I checked this, because it, yeah, it just needs to be fixed. Because this is going to show, this part, especially right there, this edge is going to show, and I want to make sure that that's covered. So this is a good thing I'm doing. And I'm going to paint this and touch up this side. Okay, I might have to fix this a little bit when I do the, yeah, I might just make it go up a little higher. Just learning my lesson from this. There's another deck that goes there. I'll end up having to find that before I install this completely. But I need to check this one as well. Yeah. Always triple check everything, right? Anyway, yeah, I'm going to have to be doing a little bit of gray painting here. And I think I can just use the big brush. The important thing is going to be to doing this goes on top, right? Like that. So this side looks good. You can see that that looks pretty good against there. But underneath on the bottom, that need gray. Doing that. And then I go up a little higher here on this side as well. Okay. Then what we have is the same issue here. This one goes on this side like this. And again, if you look at it from the bunk room side, it looks pretty good. If you look at it from this side, it hasn't even been done yet, right? where that spot came from. That requires a little bit of touch up. Okay, so I think those will be better. Can always scrape a little paint off if necessary. And then the bottom of this, out again. No, don't paint that. I was wondering what that was, but that's where the staircase goes in. That needs to be clean. I'll have to clean that out again later. That edge looks pretty ragged, but it actually needs to be that way. Right. So we got that dark gray thing going. Everything will be checked and triple checked and quadruple checked before they're cemented into place. What are we doing on time? Pretty well, actually. I'll put my glasses on a second here so I can see a little better. 11:30, okay. So I've got a half hour before nominal break time. I'm just trying to think of the order in which these things need to be put together. And I'm thinking blue-green. One of these had a... Is it this? Yeah, spot here. If I get the light green, the light blue out again, I can finish these two guys. Okay, at least the base coats. And then I'm going to put a wash on the meat to see how that ends up looking. This little this little brush to go around the hatch. The hatchway is open, so I need to get in little bits of paint in here. And we'll just start here and work our way around. Then I'll get out a larger brush and finish that off. This hatch has a tiny little, the doorway has a tiny little window on it, and I put a dot of chrome paint on that on one of the other hatches, and I think that looked okay as a window. And then I used a fine-tipped felt pointed pen and did the handles. You can just barely see the handles there in red. Since they went through the trouble of putting the detail on the model, I thought, well, let's go through the trouble of painting it so you could see it. A little bit high on the gray there. Might have to touch that. No, that's facing away. That's on the back of the door. No one will see that. No one will see it. Don't have to worry about it. Brush. This big brush is too big. I just can't. It's just way too big for that. Yeah, I think that'll look okay. It might need a second coat just because. So then both sides of this. I need to touch that up just a little bit with the gray paint later. This one. Sorry, I'm just paying attention to what I'm doing here. Right along the edge of the locker here. Actually, I'm going to use that angled brush that I was using before. It's a real pain to clean, but I think it'll do a good job with what I'm attempting to accomplish here. Okay, on this side, need to get the edge of the locker, and I want to get all in between these books because the wall is going to show behind the books. Okay. That's adequate. Painting over all of these books. And then I'm going to paint the shelves. Little horizontal lines. I'll either try to do that in brown, or I might just use the black felt tip pen and do it in black. And this looks like, I painted this red because it looks like an alarm. It's not a clock. Yeah, just a little bit ragged, but don't think it will be noticeable. But you can still see the bookshelves and the books. And those are what I will be playing with later, as I attempt to get the bookshelf painted. And then the edges of the books. And the lockers look okay. That's the same color as I'm using later for the junction boxes and other places, electrical junction boxes. But in this case, it looked like a good locker color as well. So this being that, the base coat is based on all of these. And the other ones up here were done earlier, and those look good. So I'm done with that color. Then I go back to the meat after I clean these brushes. Light blue paint is tenacious on the brushes. I'll just say that. I would leave this open except for the fumes and the possibility of spilling it. I'm going to wash the meat. Use some. It's just kind of a weird thing to say. I'm not going to literally wash meat. I am going to get some smoky ink wash and apply it to the meat. Just see if it makes it look more meat-like. It could scarcely make it look less meat-like at the moment. If it works, then I am going to paint the hanging meat on here and attempt to accomplish the same thing as I did on the independently hanging meat rack. And after that, after I get that done, I'm going to fit tables. into the floor, and then after break I'll cement those in, and then I start painting detail on things. I guess that's what needs to be done. I'm just looking at the pieces here. This is, you know, I'll just say it's a lot closer to being finished than it was when I started. So, yeah, I'm going to wash the meat, and then what kind of paint is in this brush? Brown paint, weird. Everything is just kind of crowded here. It didn't put things away. Yeah, there it is. And the smoky ink. There it is. No. Just put it on here and see what happens. So this is it doesn't really appear to be meat hanging thing. This is the smoky ink wash in the palette that you can't see. Inch it over, there we go. And it's going on, and I think it's going to be all right. It certainly looks better than it did in terms of having a meat-like quality. Yeah, I mean, why not? Now I just need to replicate this look on there, which is a little hard. You know, they're really tiny, and I don't want to get it all over the white. And I don't remember what color I used. Well, that helps, doesn't it? I think it's this one. Sometimes it's a good idea to write things down. No, it wasn't this one, it was the other one. There's a splotch of it left there. So I'm going to put this next to it and see if it looks like more or less the same color. Definitely not that one. Okay. So let's see if we can get this. To be a little bit of a challenge to wash as well. It's on the back wall. The edges don't have to be perfect. Let's just say it's going to be hard to see it. If it can be seen at all. We'll be just peeking at it through a little bit of imaginary open door. Don't have to be really cautious with the wash. You'll be kind of dabbing it on. There, you can see the shape of it now anyway. And then that needs to dry. Lay it down. Okay, yeah. Now I'm going to do the fitting of these pieces here, these benches. I will not cement them in before break. I'm going to cement them in after break, and then I'm going to paint the chairs. Those need to be done sooner than later. After the chairs are painted, I actually can put them in here, and here, and put these tables in. Once these tables are in, I can put these parts in, okay? And basically get this whole thing done up here. All right. I'm not going. This bulkhead doesn't go in yet. That goes in when the galley goes in. Okay, these parts, and the galley has a lot of detail on it. But if I get the chairs done, I can come really close to. I can get this whole thing done, and these up here done, and this thing will then be. I don't know what. The galley detail is going to take a long time to paint. But in terms of assembly, it'll be more than half done. So I'm going to get these brushes out of the way. This here. I'm actually going to start with the ones that I'm not cementing in. They're tiny and annoying That one goes there. Oh, that one goes right in. That one goes there. It's there. And again, those don't go in until the chairs go in, because the chairs need to go kind of under them in all these tiny little holes. But these 3 tables, those 3 tables fit. Okay. So I'm just going to set them carefully aside. And I'm going to work on these 5 here. And I'll just take them one at a time. I don't know if they're going to be like universal fits or not, so I'm just going to take one at a time and go from left to right and see if they fit. Oh, okay. No, this is something I definitely need to do before I glue those in. This edge, okay, this whole edge here, is the cutaway, and so it needs to be painted gray, dark gray. And I'm also seeing that when I'm looking at it edge on, some of these benches just need tiny touches, like especially that one, of brown paint. I'm going to set these from left to right in the order in which I'm going to glue them in, but I'm seeing things that need to be done before that can be done. It's good to do that. Another reason why this takes so long is that you think you're ready to go, and then you find out you're not. Just checking to see which visible edge looks best on each of these. They all seem to be fitting pretty well, which is nice. I'm going to paint that edge gray first, and then I'm going to do the brown touch-up. In a little bit. Okay, if you have to do that. It's the last one. The last one isn't going to work. There we go. Yep. It snaps in eventually. Always tempting. If it wants to be there, maybe I should just let it be there instead of cementing it in. That's just not going to move. That's going to stay there. That gives you an example of what it looks like. Okay. When the table's in place, you look at it from the edge, and you put like 7 or 8 people on each side, and at least 6 on each side of these tables. But that one is, I'm saying installed, because it's just there. I mean, it's snapped in and it's not coming back out. painting the edge of this gray is a little bit tetchy. I'm going to save that until after the break. We've got a lot of these alligator clips. I'm going to need them. I'm going to need 11 of these alligator clips for the 11 chairs. The exciting part is going to be not having them go flying. Because they hold on a tiny, tiny little spot. A little tiny, tiny little bit on the bottom of the chair. So there's plenty of them, plus these. Yeah, the meat came out okay. I'm going to finish these before break. I'm just going to get this done. Oh, sorry. No. Highlighting hanging meat is taking a lot of concentration here, right? You know how to get it right. So there, that's, I think that'll look fine. I'm not going to mess with it any further. Yes, so when I come back, I'm going to have to do a thing I wasn't planning to do. While I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and paint, very carefully paint the edges here. This shows this is a cutaway. Okay, and the same thing is true here. It's a cutaway. So if I get the dark gray out, I might as well do both of these with extreme caution. And then paint the edge of this also with extreme. Don't lose that. It's my little coffee table. Here. And then I have some tiny little bits of red-brown touch-up on the edges of these benches, and that definitely needs to be done before I do that before I put the rest of the tables in. But there's just, I don't know why I didn't do that before, but there's little spots that need to be touched up. Okay, and then after that dries, because I'll be holding it on, after that dries, I'm going to finish putting the rest of these other 4 tables and the coffee table, cement those in, because that'll be a thing that'll be done, some assembly actually showing up, and then paint the rice grain chairs, because those need to be done next so that they can be put into these places, and then the tables can be in, and then the bunks and this bulkhead could be put in. This bulkhead has to wait though. That's the bulkhead has the the bookcases on, so I'll probably work on those. Trying to think ahead about in what order I can get things done. If I get the chairs done, the tables fit, this can all be put together, the bunks can be put in, and this bulkhead can be put in, but this bulkhead needs to wait for the bookcases to be done. And then they fit together like this, and I have to then take a look at it and see if I like that gap or if I'm going to try to maybe fill it in. We'll see. But I actually, if I can get the chairs done and the bookcases, if I can get that going, I can get a fair amount of work done on this, leaving me just with the hyper detail of the galley. Yeah, and then little things, like putting the dot of paint in there and doing the handles. Anyway, I do need to take a break, and when I get back, I will be painting gray edges of things, and then doing some brown touch-up, and then some installation of tables, and then the painting of chairs. And once those chairs are done, then we'll see how much time is left and how long it takes for them to dry. The next detailed bit is going to be the bookshelves, though, because those need to be done in order to finish this, leaving me just with the galley part, which will take another week of Wednesdays. Excuse me. Oh, yep. Break time. See you in about 25 minutes. More or less. Thanks for watching. Be back with more relaxing painting with Dyson Dungeons. Yep, I'm back. I should actually look up sometimes and see what's going on. So, let's see. There's little bits of touching up here and there. I'm going to do little bits of that. I'm just noticing that this particular piece here, where this goes in here like this, and then the doorway comes across this. And although the tops of these things probably aren't going to be visible, I want to be sure that if they are, that they're painted correctly, and this isn't. And I need to paint that light blue color. I'm going to quickly look around and see if there's any other light blue touch-up I need to do since I'm doing that. Yeah, there's a little spot by the door there. Anyway, I'm going to do some real quick little touching up. And then these really shouldn't be visible because the next deck is right on top of this, but you just don't know. So it's better to be safe than sorry, I guess. Who knows how sorry we will be with this particular model. Don't know where the sorriness will end up. And then I have to paint some dark gray touching up in places, edges, the edges that will show as the cutaway of the hull. Need to do that on these and on the front of the floor. And do that next. And then I have to let that dry, so I'm not going to be putting these in then right away. All right, I've just got parts all over the place here. And I really should be putting them in something softer so that the paint doesn't flake off. Got the meat done. Yeah, and it looks okay. It should be a little redder, but it is as it is. These 4 benches go here, and this one goes there. So when it comes time to cement those in, I'll be ready for it. And I'm seeing some little spots that need some brown touch-up on these tables. Where was I? Yeah. I was cleaning a brush that went somewhere. Not sure where it went now. Really, it's just that kind of thing, isn't it? So yes, I'm going to do those touch-ups, and then, well, that's drying. Make sure these things are out of the way. Then I'll come back and do the brown touch-up, because there's almost certain to be there is some of that definitely needs to be done. Okay, and then while I'm waiting for the gray to dry so I can do the brown touch-up so I can cement these things in, I'm going to give a go at painting these chairs. And I have a plan. There it is. I got distracted and didn't finish cleaning this. I have a plan. Seriously. Where? It has a lot to do with not losing brushes by dropping them on my lap. Good grief. All right. And so I should be able to, yet today, assuming that the chair painting goes okay, I should still be able to get these bulkheads done, get the chairs painted. I don't need meat here anymore. I can put this in with the other parts. There's a whole pile of parts here. If nothing else, I've got a whole pile of parts. Yeah. Assuming this edge painting goes more or less okay, I should be able to get the chairs painted. No, this needs to dry before I can do anything with it. So yeah, I was thinking of getting the chairs painted first so that they can be inserted in here But if I can get the edges painted, the chairs painted, even if they're not dry, even if I don't get the chairs in today, I will get done today what I was planning, which is to get these benches in, the tables in, and that table in. And I need this color. This brush. And this other brush. So after many, many weeks of not really seeming to get anywhere, it's actually getting to the point where there seems to be a little tiny bit of progress. Hard to believe it. Hard to believe that this part might actually ever get done. You have to be careful about this, because if I don't want the paint to go up over the edges onto the already painted areas. I'm just using this little bitty brush, hoping that it successfully just paints the edge and not the rest of it. To be very cautious and paint up to it from one direction and then turn it over and paint up to it from the other side, trying to minimize the opportunity for the paint to get where I don't want it to go. The break took a little longer than I was planning. I have yeah, there. That's the thing. I'm going to be helping my brother move some stuff next week. And is setting up some final plans that needed to be final planned, and that took a little bit longer than I thought it would. So it's always good to have an excuse for why the breaks are longer than I was originally intending, because they almost always are. Oh my, oh my, oh my. That's even worse than this. I was trying to be careful and then failed. These turn out to be like more difficult than I really think they should be. You're just painting right along an edge, right? The paint should just go on the edge, but it got there, and that's right on the edge where it shows on both sides. So I'm gonna have to get the light blue paint out and touch that up. It's just really annoying. Turned out to be not awful. Yeah, so that's a danger, is the placement of the brush and bringing it up to the surface to be painted and banging it into front of where I don't want the paint. There, just a little bit over the edge. part of it is not being able to see very well. Now I'll touch that up too. This will dry fairly quickly. It'll be done by the time I'm done with that edge, and then I can come back and fix these. I just want to get it done. So even if it means coming back and forth with some different colors, I still need this paint. I'd rather do that and get it finished than be using this little angled brush on this other one. I think this will work okay. To do is get this edge painted gray. If I get it up the bottom, that's fine, because this whole bottom is going to be painted that dark gray eventually anyway. I'm not doing it now because you can see it's all full of holes, and after I glue the things in from the top, like this one, you can see those holes sort of get filled in, but not quite. So I'm going to take the modeling putty, the plastic putty, and fill those in and sand them down, and then paint the whole bottom gray. The reason this is getting painted gray is because the hull of the submarine is cut away. And this is the color that shows after they saw it off. It's the same color the entire hull will be painted when that time comes. It's just good to get this done now. If I tried to do this when it was inserted into the submarine, it would be much more difficult. So yeah, I need to do some family moving next week, so I'm going to be gone. I'll do submarine Wednesday, but I'll be missing next week Friday. I'll be painting this Friday. Okay, but that's what, Memorial Weekend anyway, isn't it, right? So it's a good time to be not streaming. So I'll be not streaming the Friday, Monday, and following Wednesday of Memorial Weekend. Thinking, our Dungeons and Dragons campaign is three Sundays a month. I probably want to check the schedule just to see what the Memorial Weekend schedule is. I'm not sure if it will. I'm guessing it probably won't be streaming Memorial Weekend, but you might want to check. At any rate, Relaxing Painting will be taking some time off starting next Friday And then I'll be missing Friday, the Memorial Monday, and the Wednesday next week. Okay, well, we don't have perfection here. We have adequacy. Isn't that the word I made up on, I think that's the word I made up Monday, adequately. It actually is a word. It was something else. Okay, well, that looks okay from this direction. So we'll let that go. I need to do some light blue touch-up on these things because I got gray paint where I didn't want it. Tiny, tiny little bits, but it's right in an area that shows significantly. And this is the brush that refuses to clean. I'll just let it sit in the water. And I'm going to do the touch-up with this little bitty brush. And then after this, I'm going to paint the chairs. Okay. Those chairs need to be, this all needs to dry before I can do, there's a little bit of brown touch-up that needs to be done before I put the benches in. Just a tiny little bit. And then yeah. So the chairs will be next. I'm glad I picked this color, the walls, because it not only, looks like the color on the box top, but it covers pretty well and it levels nicely. So for an application like this, it's kind of an important thing. The other thing I should do, well, let's just go to wait a bit. I need to get those chairs done. What I need to remember to do is paint the handles in the window on this. Okay. I just need to remember to do that. Because that's just a little bit of detail that's important to get done. So that's fixed now. That's good. And I will now do two things. One is clean these brushes. Again. The work surface just keeps getting smaller and smaller as I manage to pick something up and set it down. And I set it down next to me instead of far away from me. And then it gets crowded. I need to get another one of these. I wonder if they make one similar to this, but either a little bigger or a little smaller. I would get one in both directions. now that I've gotten used to how it works, first time I used it, I didn't like it at all, but now I've gotten used to how it works, and it's a good detail, moderate detail brush. Okay, I'm going to get things out of the way. I'm going to need this paint. I'm going to keep that here. That's the brown touch-up paint I'm going to be needing. Need the red paint. I need the red felt tip pen. Ooh, so what? Yeah, what I'm looking for is a little container. I'm going to be right back. I hadn't thought of this, but these chairs are so tiny, so minuscule, and just, I mean, what can I say? They're really, you'll just see in a minute, they're just not nice. Need the screen. And I'm going to use a fairly large, even though they're tiny, I'm going to use a fairly large soft bristled brush because there's a lot of angles on them, and the paint needs to get onto them. And they're vaguely chair-like, and that's as far as it's going to go. But what I need is a little white container. Cap. I'm going to use this. I do not know how this is going to go. I will find out. There are, look at them. When I talk about rice grains, I'm not kidding. There are 11 teeny little chairs, okay? And each one, believe it or not, is on a teeny little pedestal. If you can see that at all, okay, against sort of semi-white background, there's a little tiny little peg and a slightly bigger peg. The little one goes into the hole and it stops there, and the chair sits up on a pedestal. So what I need to do to get these painted is I need to take an alligator clip and clip the tiny bottom, okay, the little peg that goes into the hole, but not the pedestal, just like that. Need to do that successfully 11 times, and I'm going to paint them. And then it's like, what do I do with this? Well, I'm just going to take that and stick it in here, and there will be 6 in one and 5 in the other. And that's how it's going to go, and it's got a magnet on it. So I'm going to get these over here. What I'm most concerned about is that the clip might pop out, and this tiny little chair will go flying. Probably the only good thing is that I've got 2 other kits, and so if I end up losing these, because if they go flying, it's going to get lost. Oh, I should just stick these in here right away, rather than trying to stick them in after it's painted. Why not, right? Not just do this right away. It's going to look pretty weird, but I think it'll work. And I'm hoping that by using a fairly large, soft bristled brush on the hand, I can get paint on these without popping them off. once these are painted and not lost, then they get cemented in to all of these little holes here. There's 8 of them around this table, 2 here and 1 there. So this is really crowded. I don't know why this person gets a whole table to themselves and just 2 here. That must be like, I don't know, like the cribbage table or something. I'm not sure what, but it seems, compared to how crowded that is, kind of luxurious. I actually tested all of these when I cleaned them up. Tested them to make sure that they fit in the little holes. Let's see what happens after they're painted. Because the paint, oh, there we go. One just fell. One just fell. So close. So close. I'm going to have to look for that. I really am going to have to look for it. Because I don't have a spare set up. And get the rest of these done, and then I'm going to, I might just put it on break. It depends on if I'm lucky or not. Anyway, you don't need to see me off camera going, it's just a tiny little piece of gray thing against gray. Otherwise, I'm going to have to make an emergency trip to my backup model and grab a chair and clean it up. Okay, I'm going to put my glasses on, and if I'm really lucky, I have no clue, if I'm really lucky, I might be able to find it. It hit my leg, and I think it bounced up here. This is nothing short of a miracle. Seriously. It was nothing short of a miracle being able to find that. Now let me see if I can not lose it a second time and see if this is a cursed, this might be a cursed chair. Okay. So believe it or not, on these, it looks pretty weird, right? There are 11 tiny little chairs that are going to be painted this green color. And I'm just going to get stuff out of the way. And then I have to remember a couple of things. One is that there's magnets in the bottoms of these, and I can't get them close together or they will go shooting off. And that would be semi-disastrous. It really would be, because it would knock it all over. So let me get this paint a good mixing. It keeps, it just keeps getting rotated. Granted, this isn't a studio, right? This is just a workbench with a ring camera. Every once in a while I have to look up, and then I see that as it vibrates, it rotates. And at some point, I'm just going to say that's where it wants to be. If that's where it wants to be, that's where it's going to be. It's just the way it is. The camera wins. Okay, so I'm going to take this one with the 6. Give this a good mixing. And I'm going to start putting green paint on these chairs. Using this big soft bristle brush because I want the paint to go on quickly, and I want it to get on all the surfaces, including the little pedestal on the bottom. So the alligator clip is going to get some green paint on it that I may or may not clean off sometime in the future. So this is a good navy leatherette chair color, I think. Du jour was definitely finding that chair. I thought I'd be spending another 15 minutes of precious streaming time pulling a backup chair out of one of the backup models and then having to prep it. I didn't prime these. They're way too small to prime. Like maybe you could have brushed some on, but I think, they're just so small that I think that just painting them is fine. As long as I don't scrape off too much paint as I cement them into little holes in the floor. Bring this down a little bit, not so that necessarily you can see better, but so that I've got a little more light on it. What I want to do is make sure that the pedestals, I just want to make sure that they're painted. Okay. There's not too much paint buildup on the seats, which are supposed to look like seats and not puddles. And to be honest, these are so tiny that if they are mostly painted, it would be good enough. But again, just trying to sweep the brush across the insides of the seats there, and then looking down at the pedestals, seat bases. Green. So there's one set. We got these little pins that go in the cement tube to open it up. They don't work because there's a blockage in the liquid cement container that needs to be drilled out every time I use it. And we'll see that happen when I get back to cementing those tables in. pretty soon after I'm done with these. There is a small chance that these actually will be dry enough to cement in yet this stream, but I'm definitely not promising that. I'm not going to promise that. I don't know how long this green is going to take to dry, and I want them to be pretty dry because the green comes in contact with the beige floor, and the cement melts the paint. And if they're not dry, basically if they're not dry, I'm going to be touching them and touching all the surfaces because they're so tiny. That's the only way to grab onto them. I've tried tweezers, but the tweezers are actually a disaster because they'll slip. And I've had one go flying. Fortunately, it was in the parts box, but it didn't work. So I'll be I'm going to want these to be very dry so I don't get paint on my fingers while I'm handling them. So I could get a little impatient as I can with some of the parts and just, dive into it a little more quickly than I should otherwise. So I'm just going to go around here and brush the seats to get the little puddle that builds up in there. And then make sure that they're covered on all sides. That one wasn't. Get the tops. Check the pedestal parts. Okay, so these need to dry. Set this one here, and this one over here, because otherwise I'm going to knock them over, and hopefully the alligator clips will hold and I won't have little flying chairs. That would be bad. Oh, so what was I going to do next? Yeah, brown touch-up, tiny bits of brown touch-up, because those are the fronts of those benches are edges that you can see. They're right at the front, very, very front and center, almost center, just slightly to the bow of forward of center of the submarine. Air envelope. Yeah. So for that touch-up, I'm going to use the tiny brush, and I need the red brown. Okay. I'm doing two bits. One is, if you look at the front of this, the fronts of the benches show. Okay, they need to be is this, you know, do you get the paint down too far or not far enough? And there's just some spots, not very many and not very much, where it's just not enough. It looks a little uneven. This isn't going that well. And part of it is that the paint is a little bit raised there. See, a little bit of the floor shows in front of the benches, and then the bench comes down to the floor. That's what to do. Hopefully I'm not getting it on the floor at the same time. But there's just the dark brown just needs to go a little bit further down on some of these. There's just like a corner showing it. Just a little spot, right? Some of the gray just isn't very good either. Okay, well, some of this gray needs to be a little touched up all along the edge there, but I can do that. I can do that after these benches are put in place. There were a couple of spots on the sides of the benches, just along the sides of the bottoms, that weren't perfect. None of this is perfect. That weren't adequate. There it is. I really would be interested in going back in time and seeing the one I did when I was like in 7th or 8th grade, to compare it to this one in terms of painting and construction. Because I don't remember this being nearly as challenging. And my people who remember the model, like my brother, said, "Oh, yeah, it was a really cool model. You did a good job with it." But it wasn't anywhere near this level of challenge. So, I mean, it must have looked 12-year-old cool. 60 years later, that's giving it away, right? 60 years later, I'm just being a little bit more, let's use an old-fashioned word, persnickety. That's a good old-fashioned word. Okay, so I'm going to put this over here. I want to let this dry just a little bit. So in the meantime, I'm going to get... okay. Oh, here. Get this out. And I'm going to get my little red 12-point pen. And if you can see them, maybe you can, maybe you can't. The door handle. Nice, huh? And then the window, there is, believe it or not, tiny little dot, a little window there. I'm going to use chrome paint. That's what I used last time. And attempt to get the most minuscule, tiny little dot on there. And I'm going to use a pin, and we'll see if I can get some paint to adhere to the pin. And then get the pin to pinpoint. That's why I'm using a pin, so I can pinpoint the drop. No, it's not. See, it's just, it doesn't stick to the metal. The toothpick is, would that be? Do this. I'm going to actually sharpen a toothpick here. It's even smaller, so the point is tiny. Yeah, this is fun. You want to see? Here. This is what I'm doing, is I'm sharpening the toothpick to give me a pinpoint, but wood, because the wood will hold the paint, whereas the metal didn't. This might be useful in other places, I don't know. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. Ta-da! There it is. Window and the door handle. I have to say that that came out okay. So this thing, that's the side that shows. This thing is, this is ready to install, actually. It's not perfect, you know, like nothing is. But this is, if I were at the point where this would be installed, it would be going here. Right there. And the storerooms are here, and the galley is here. This isn't ready to go on yet, because it can't go on until all of this is done. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to get the chairs in. But it's done. So I'm going to set it here with all the done stuff. Okay. This is, we can turn this back over and orient it correctly. Let's see here. This, I need to paint this light green. I might just do that yet today, because that's something that I could get done. But I promised that I would be installing things, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to a little piece of this paper, non-absorbent white paper, and I'm going to keep this toothpick, because this will be just right for applying cement in little holes. Cement, and we'll see if the blockage in there is still there. So the story behind this is that this liquid cement is really good. It's got this tiny little applicator tip, which is supposed to be even tinier than it is here. Okay. But the problem with this particular one is that in here, right about there, there was a block. It was like a piece of polystyrene plastic that got in there, and it just blocked the whole thing. And I actually had to drill it out. I had to break this off. It's epoxy back on and drill it out. But there's still a remnant of it in here. And so from usually each time I use it, and I can tell if it's flowing because, yeah, it has a very, very strong odor. And if I can't smell it, I know it's not flowing. So the problem, I'm not wasting it. I salvaged this, right? So I can still use it. But the downside is that the applicator tip is not nearly as precise as it should be. So I need to get it out and then use a toothpick or something to put it in these little holes. And I want to put the cement into the holes rather than the prongs, because when I push it down, if it's on the prongs, it'll spread out, or if it's in the holes, it'll just push through. What I should do is just invest in a new one, right? Well, the blockage seems to be even deeper than ever. Sorry for sniffing glue, right? Great, you get to watch me sniffing glue because that's the way I can tell whether or not I've successfully opened it up or not. It's not that I am a glue sniffer. I never really understood that. The odor is really strong and not terribly pleasant, really. Sorry, this is taking so long. Getting cement out of the tube should be really easy and straightforward. This is the thing that's supposed to go down and open it. And it hits a block, and it's hitting it right there where it always does. And the drill should have cleared it out. But it didn't. And the drill should be going well past it. So we'll just try it again. Up there. Yeah, there's always something. It's hitting it now. Really a very hard block. And what I probably could do, which I'm not, is to break this whole thing off again. Break that whole thing again and try to get the whole blockage out. I remembered it was like a different color. It was like yellowish pink or something. So it was pretty clear that there was something in there that should not have been in there that is blocking it. But this stuff isn't free. Oh, there it is. It's sort of bluish. You can see it there, see? On the drill. The bluish color. And it's in there. It's just a chunk of plastic or something that keeps dissolving and rehardening. It seems to actually be expanding. It's going down deeper into it. each time I drill it. Well, I'm going to just play around with this because I really can't get anything done without the cement. I could, well, that's not true. I could use something other than the model cement to attach these. I could mix up a little epoxy. I could use some super glue. I could use contact cement. There is a lot of things I could do instead, but this is the preferred way. I just made the drill a little longer. And we're just going to keep drilling at it. Maybe, I don't know how many times I have to do this before I just say this is defective, and it's defective enough that I need to get a different one. So sometimes I can't tell if the drill, yeah, there's even more on it. It's just picking it up. No, this time it went through because the unmistakable scent of plastic cement is wafting up from the little point here. It's still not coming out. Yeah, this is a good, I'm just wasting a huge amount of time just trying to get the cement out of here. That was the microphone. You didn't see that or hear that. Yeah, but after today, I mean, in the past, I've just done this. Just, put the little micro drill through it, and I was able to clear it out, but the blockage seems to be getting worse. Like I said, it's almost like it's dissolving and moving further down into the tube, and then it hardens. And so I can either break this whole thing off again, something I particularly want to do, and try to clear it out once and for all. Or I can just toss this thing. Just toss this thing and start over. And still, I've hardly used any of this at all, so it'd be a real waste. But if I can't use it, that's kind of a waste too, isn't it? Good grief. I am getting to the point now where I'm thinking I just need to break this thing off. And I thought I had cleared it out when I broke it off the first time. And when it first happened, I thought, oh well, there's some sort of internal seal on this. Well, that was nonsensical, because this whole thing, it was not designed to come off. So there wasn't like some jars you open it up and there's an internal seal that you have to clear up. That wasn't the case. The tip is actually sealed. Okay, that's actually sealed, and you're supposed to just cut off a tiniest little bit of it. Well, I had to cut off enough to get a drill down into it. I'll break this drill off in the nozzle if I'm not careful. Almost like it's dissolving the inside of the container. Yeah, you can see some of that blue, whatever it is. Some blue stuff is coming off. Getting the odor, but the opening isn't big enough actually for this to even drip out. This is very, very sad that I'm wasting so much time on this. Like it's almost like drilling into the side of the container now. But it's a drill, and it's soft plastic, and eventually it will drill through something. This might get to the point where I'm going to give up on this and use something else. Because this is just silly, and I can't keep doing this for the next, 20 minutes. I did want to get some other things done. Yeah, I seem to be drilling into the side of something now. I do not know. If I use this little thing, probe, which is supposed to just go right on through, it goes down that far, and it sticks. So it's like okay, I'm just going to try this a little bit longer to see if I can't get some out. Yep, there we go. Yay. Okay, well, let's give this a shot. I want a little bit in this hole here. And on this tab here, I'm using the toothpick because it actually seems to hold onto this stuff and allows me to spread it. Okay, what goes here is this little table. Be firmly settled on there. And then I'm going to go what I can really do with these, this would actually work, I think, better. So I can put these in and then cement them from the bottom. I'm going to do that because the bottom is going to be filled in. Painted. And if I cement them from the bottom, you're not going to be able to see the cement. So I just need to hold these in place and lob cement on them. Okay, I don't really need to even be very careful. I just need to make sure, because I'm going to sand this smooth anyway. And I just need to make sure that cement gets down into the and attaches to the prongs here. You can actually see it's dissolving the plastic just right away. In fact, I probably can even do it this way, right? The way this was designed. It looks really messy. It is messy. I don't care at this point. You're not going to see it. You're not going to see this. It's going to get plastic puttied and sanded down. So if this fills the hole, it just means a little less plastic putty when the time comes. There. And then I'm going to make sure I don't have any on my fingers. Just press down on these. Make sure that they're, like in this case, it's tilted a little bit. Make sure it's not tilted. And then, yeah, that one's tilted. Because from the front, you're going to look at it. This is how the view you're going to have of the front. We don't want the tables to be tilted. And what's really important is what I'm doing here, which is to, as I'm pushing down on them, touching the bottom, which has the wet cement, so that I can touch that to a plastic surface. And I'd hold it like this and look at it like this. Okay, so this is right there, kind of the view that you're going to get when you look at it once it's put into the submarine. You might be able to look down on it, not that much, because there's a deck right above it. Okay, so that's pretty much the view you're going to get of these tables. And I'm just making sure that they're like level. And then I'm going to quit touching it. I'm going to promise myself I'm going to quit touching it and just let it sit here. I need to do some dark gray touch up along the front yet before this is ready to go. My drill. And I've got about 15 minutes left. What can I do in that amount of time? Something that would be like worthwhile. I think what I can do, since that these bulkheads that go on either side of the bunk deck, they're pretty important to get done, is I'm going to paint that one light green. At least get a first coat on it. Okay. This one here goes on the aft side of the bunk deck. And there's what's called like a gyro room, or anyway, there's a big gyroscope in it. And that is a utility, not a space for crew, so it's painted light green. And I'm going to do that. I can use an alligator clip. I might scar up the gray paint a little bit. I can touch that up again later, but I'm going to hold this, get the light green paint out, paint around the fire extinguishers, and then cover the rest of it. So I'll be using this brush and this brush. This up a little higher again so you can see all the parts. So the tables are installed, which is cool because I wanted to get something done. If you look here, these parts are, a lot of them are pretty well painted. The bunk deck's done, these are done. These white parts. Not this one, but the parts of the galley. These tables are finished. The meat is finished. These parts of the galley and the storeroom need detail. And maybe I'll go over that before I finish, maybe not. This is done. This is done. There's another piece over here that's finished that I can bring back. I need to get the bookcases done. Okay, so that is detailed. So these bits here, the galley and the bookcases, need to be done, and I'm going to work on the bookcases first, because if I get those finished, okay, well, I'll talk about that in a minute. Mixing the paint. Once the chairs dry, the chairs get installed here. And once the chairs are installed, then I can install the little tables. Once those are done, I can put this bulkhead, which has the bookcase on it, and the bunks here, and that will finish this whole side. Everything except the staircase, which will go here, and it rests against this bulkhead. And what's left then are the galley pieces. Those need to be done. There's a lot of detail on those. You know, pots and pans and canisters and cabinets and things that I'm going to really, they're really pretty. It really looks nice. So I think I'm going to do my best to try to get those painted nicely in detail. There's little white bits of touch-up I'm going to have to try to remember. There's just a little spot on that, and then there's the edge of one of the galley pieces that needs to be done too. Hopefully I'll remember those before I start trying to cement them into place, if I ever can get the stupid cement to work. Okay, so these fire extinguishers, I'm going to paint around the edges of them. And then around the top, the little metallic bits. Using the bitty brush to get the paint down in and around, and then I'm going to use a larger brush to actually paint the entire surface of it. This green has frequently required 2 coats, and it's likely to be the same here. For this particular bulkhead, on this side goes against the side there, on the bunk deck down here on that side, and then on this side of the bunk deck is the servo room. There's this big gyroscope thing, like a big flywheel that spins and provides inertial guidance to the submarine. That room is quite easy to do, other than for some control panels. There's some control panels that need to be detailed, but otherwise the servo itself is just gigantic in relation to some of these other parts, and is just painted like duraluminum. Okay, now I'm going to use this brush and hopefully not mess it up. Like I said, I might need to put another coat on here, but we'll see. But there's that color. Looking at it from this side. Anyway, as I have reminded myself in the past, if it's okay, don't mess with it. And right now it's okay, and so I'm going to not mess with it. I am going to clean this brush and this brush in the alcohol. So I'm going to put this, I'm just going to set this here. All right, let me go over what needs to be done. I don't need the chrome anymore, and what I have done. A little recap here. This is Dice Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons. Dice and Dungeons is a Dungeons and Dragons group, and we do our Dungeons and Dragons campaign 3 Sundays a month with a live chat at 2 Eastern Daylight Time. And you're very, very welcome to join in on that. And if you can't watch it when it streams, you can catch it on YouTube or even as a podcast, because there's always music in the background and we're almost always saying something. There's very few moments of silence. Sometimes there are. The music will still play, but it's like when the DM does something terrible to us, like she often does. Oh, combat's over. Oh, no. One of the things you killed is risen from the dead and is attacking you again. Or something new bursts through the door. Why weren't you guarding the door? That kind of thing. Anyway, yes, please consider joining us for our Dungeons and Dragons campaigns on Sundays, 3 Sundays a month at 2 Eastern Daylight Time. This all started because we made more and more elaborate dungeons with tiles that got painted and, stuccoed walls and caves and castles and necromancy layers and sewers and things. And we started printing dungeon tiles on the 3D printers back there. And as we were painting them for the stream, we said, well, why don't we stream the painting as well? Why not? So that's how Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons started, is the preparation of dungeon tiles and minifigs and scatter pieces for our campaign. And Submarine Wednesday started because one week I didn't have either minifigs or dungeon tiles to paint, and I am reliving my past by building models like the one I built when I was in 7th and 8th grade, which is this. An official, real 1960s vintage Renwall cutaway nuclear and nuclear missile launching submarine. I'm working now on the bunk deck, which is this, and the galley and mess deck, which is all of this. And as you can see, the parts are coming along. And next time, what I need to do is paint the bookshelves on this piece, which goes right here. All right, and once that's done, I can assemble all of this, leaving me just with the storerooms in the galley, which are not trivial because there's a lot of detail on them. But what we have done is the crew mess, all those tables, each one seating like 12 to 14 people, I think. Yeah, I wanted to get that assembled so we could see something going, and the coffee station is done. I think there's coffee here, and under here there's, I don't know, like maybe like sweets or something like that on these serving tables. So that's there. This is done. This is the forward bulkhead for the torpedo room, which needs to be finished. I started working on the dials. You can start seeing some of the detail on the dials. I was having a little bit of success actually getting that done, using a nail as a stamping tool. These are the bulkheads for the bunk deck. Yeah. Oh, geez. I can't let these sit because there's a there's potential danger here. Okay, I'm going to put these back in here, not in the envelope, but back in here. These are the 11 miniature chairs, little bitty chairs that go in all of these holes, and I'm going to release them into this container. Maybe, kind of. Yeah, I want to do this before we finish today. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of a paper towel down at the bottom. It's kind of a cushion so that the paint doesn't come off. And then yeah, these chairs I'll get to be put in these little holes here. So next time on Relaxing Painting, I'll be putting these chairs in these tables, okay, working on the bookcase, and when that's done, I can put this bunk here and that there, and then this whole section, other than the staircase, which goes up here, will be done, and then I can work on the detail in the kitchen, the cabinets and the shelves and the spice containers and the flower holders and all of the other detail that's in there. I have to say that this color is looking pretty good on these chairs. These are looking like kind of official Navy officers' seats. Stake putting that there. There's 11 of these. Almost lost one earlier. It was nearly a disaster. It popped off of the alligator clip and went flying, but I was able to find it, which was kind of a surprise because I've dropped things before that were much bigger than this and weren't able to find them. So I'm going to drop these in here, and then I'm going to take just a moment with this pin, and I'm going to spread them out so that they're not touching, because the paint is still a little wet, and if they're touching each other, sometimes wet paint welds itself to itself, and I don't want these chairs like sticking to themselves, so that when I come back next Wednesday, I have to spend my time trying sticking chairs apart. Yeah, maybe these will even stay where they are. I'm going to not move this whole thing until later today, or maybe even tomorrow. Okay, so there's a lot of progress now. I got some things assembled. I'm getting really close to being able to put together this whole section here. I just need to get this bookcase detailed. Okay. And then all these tables and chairs go together. And then I'm going to start working on the detail in the kitchen. And the galley. And hopefully that will get us really close to being able to assemble this entire bunk and mess deck. And once that's done, maybe not next week, it might take longer than that, I don't know. We'll see. Once that's done though, then I'm going to be able to move on to the step 4, the control deck. And the control deck has more bunks, yay, my least favorite thing to paint. But it has lockers, fire extinguishers, and all of these control panels that have dials and gauges and things on them. So that's a lot of detail that needs to be done. Just in case you were concerned, there are yet more chairs, yay, more of these little chairs. that need to be prepped, and painted. And then there's actually some larger chairs. There's a set of officers' chairs, I think, or command control chairs or something. So I think there's like 3 little chairs left and 3 slightly bigger chairs left. Just a whole lot of little bits. These tubes get cemented in a control area. These are for like the periscope and the snorkels and things, radio antenna. And these things just slid all the way down through these 3 decks, and the sail, which is now installed in the submarine, have to fit into these and slide up and down. So that's going to be a chore. I'm not looking forward to that. I'm not looking forward to this deck. But that is. And then the gyro deck. I talked about that. That's all this is. This is pretty straightforward. There's a control panel. This has lockers and controls and stuff on it, so those have to be painted. There's even a desk built into it looks like. And then this goes in. All of this stuff gets put in, and then the first third of the submarine will be done. And then the missile launching area goes in there. So, yeah. Sometimes it doesn't seem like it, but in fact, Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons Submarine Wednesday is getting things done. And I'm sorry that I had to take so long today to get the cement working, but anyway, I did. And I'll get to do it again when I install all of these little beasts, the little chairs and tables and things. So that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, more or less 10 until more or less 2, Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons. Friday, I'll be continuing to work on the Wyvern that I started on Monday. Probably continue working on that on Monday, too, the way that's going. And then we'll have Submarine Wednesday next week. And then taking a break from Memorial Weekend after that. Thanks again. If you can, be a follower. If you can, be a subscriber. If you can, please go to patreon.com/diceanddungeons and become a patron. You're just watching. Your support is really, really welcome. So thanks for considering that. That's it for today. Have a good Wednesday, and see you all on Friday morning.